What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for tonight's single game showdown slate, Thursday Night Football Week 10. Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. What we do in these videos, we talk about the injuries that impact the DFS slate, low risk and high risk lineup construction tips. There is a weather angle tonight that is very important, and just other general strategies to help you win your contest. So before we get started, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Get notified when we go live, upload any new videos. Going to say this until football season ends, probably, because we're putting out multiple videos per day with the NBA back. There's a decent chance that if you like this video and you're not subscribed, that you won't see it in your feed. So just make sure you're subscribed, and that way YouTube will show it to you every time we do these videos. Give us a thumbs up. That helps us. We appreciate that. Lets others know. Lets YouTube know that others will like this video, so helps everyone out. Any questions, I will monitor the YouTube channel throughout the day. Make sure you comment on the video with any questions or comments, or you can join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord, to chat with other members of the community, chat with me, chat with staff. That link is also in the description below. So let's get into it. Not too many injuries on this slate tonight that truly impacted. The one is the potential return of Chuba Hubbard. So Hubbard has missed the last couple of games with an ankle injury. In his absence, down to Foreman has been a true workhorse. If we go over to Foreman, let's take a look really quickly. And in the last couple of games, we saw the 15 carries versus Tampa Bay, 26 versus Atlanta. Last week, they got completely run out of the gym. That's a basketball term. Got completely ran off the field by Cincinnati. So couldn't get any ground game going whatsoever, but he's been the lead back. But if Chuba's back, they split it relatively evenly. It was 15 touches to 9 touches before Chuba left the game back in Week 7. But if he's back, that obviously lowers the floor and ceiling of Deonta Foreman, as they've said this entire time since CMC was traded that they do want a true committee. Now, we're not guaranteed to get Chuba back, but he did practice in full on Wednesday, and we'll know for certain by 4 p.m. Eastern, because the past couple of weeks they've called up Spencer Brown, who's the running back 3 on the practice squad. And if he's called up again by 4 p.m., we'll know that Chuba's out, and that will increase the projections of Foreman. If Spencer Brown is not called up, we'll know that this is probably a split backfield of some sort with Foreman leading the way, but Chuba probably playing the passing downs. On the Atlanta side, really no other injuries. No major concerns that we need to discuss. I guess the one thing is Cordero Patterson did return last week after being on the injury reserve for a few weeks. And yes, he got the 2 touchdowns, but it was actually Tyler Algier that outperformed him on the ground. Let's go to Tyler Algier. 99 yards on 10 carries, where CPAT had just 44 yards on his 13 attempts. And if you just look at the box scores, you'll see CPAT scored more fantasy points than Algier did. However, if you look at the total opportunities, 11 opportunities for Algier, rushing attempts plus targets. We look at Patterson. We have 1 target, 13 attempts, just 14. So 14 to 11. So it was pretty close. Now we're on a short week, just a couple days after CPAT returned. They've mentioned throughout the season repeatedly they don't want to wear C. Patterson down. So good chance that we see Algier get another similar type workload here. And on the slate where we're not really hurting for salary, anybody can lead the slate in scoring. It would not be shocking if Algier gets roughly the same number of touches but outperforms Cordero Patterson tonight. And you look at the prices. Cordero Patterson in the flex is $11,800, which is crazy. Algier is $6,200, a massive $5,600 difference. So lots of ways you can play this slate. Just be mindful that, and the same goes for the Carolina side too. If Chuba is back and it's a more of a passing game script, or even just he outperforms Foreman, he can outscore him at a couple $1,000s cheaper. So really interesting slate from that regard. All right. Also, just real quick on the Atlanta side, it's not like it's only those 2 guys. Caleb Huntley got work as well last week. 7 carries. We know Atlanta's going to run the ball. They're the most run-heavy team in the past 15 or 20 years. So Huntley, of his 7 attempts last week, 3 were in the red zone. So it's not out of the question that Huntley gets into the end zone tonight at 4,800. So he could do some damage as well. So lots of ways you can play that Atlanta running back situation. All right, let's talk about low-risk contests, 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads. Just got to be half the field. I really don't think this is a great slate for low risk contests because of the running back situations that I mentioned. Because PJ Walker, we haven't talked about him yet, is slated to get the start again tonight. However, he was benched at halftime last week against Cincinnati. Not necessarily sure if it's entirely his fault, but they decided to bench him. Mayfield came in And while it was against a prevent defense, it did look pretty decent. Is that out of the question tonight? No, it's not. It's a very real possibility that PJ Walker doesn't play the entire game if he doesn't perform. Unfortunately, Mayfield is a regular price. He's not 6K. He's not 5K on FanDuel. So it's not like we can play him. Maybe in the largest contest, you wouldn't get really crazy. But even then, there's a real chance that PJ Walker, he's not safe by any means if he doesn't play the entire game. So we can't really play him in low-risk contests. We have the three-headed committee in Atlanta. We don't have any standout value plays. Neither team, Atlanta just doesn't pass the ball that much. So it's a really tough game. And you add on to that fact, now let's get to the weather portion. Let's go over to Wind Finder, which is, we use this for golf to try to find wave advantages in PGA DFS. But we can check the wind tonight as well. This is in Carolina. This is right outside the stadium. And if you look here, Thursday, if you look, the game starts at 8 p.m. This yellow-green bar right here is wind gusts. The wind is, 10 to 12 miles per hour for most of the day. But the gusts are what is concerning. 30-mile-per-hour gusts for most of the game, if not the entire game. Not to mention, it's supposed to rain the entire game. So not only do we have rain, we have 30-mile-per-hour gusts. Weather is going to be a factor tonight, and the betting markets agree. The total has dropped 2 points since it opened, 43.5 to 41.5, I believe. So the betting markets confirm our suspicion that weather will make an impact. So that makes it even tougher for low-risk contests because we don't know the game plans for these teams. Kickers are suddenly downgraded dramatically. If you've been playing Showdown all year, you know that kickers have been the skeleton key to winning every contest, basically. However, the field will not adjust to this. We've seen this a few times per year. It was the crazy win game in Buffalo with New England last year. Baltimore played in a legitimate hurricane a couple years ago, and Justin Tucker was still 40% owned. The field does not adjust to weather. We know that. They're not going to adjust to kickers tonight. Kickers are going to be 20% plus owned, and there's a decent chance that we don't even see multiple field goal attempts from either side because of the weather and just because of it's a lower scoring game. So with that said, maybe defenses are the play. Defenses and kickers, there's no value plays tonight. Let's go back here, right? So expanding on this, if we scroll down, all right, we have the kickers and defense. Falcons are 5,200, which is expensive for a defense. We have Pinheiro, Younghoe Koo, 4K. Panthers defense, 3,800. After that, we have Shi Smith, who's the wide receiver 3 for Carolina, and has not eclipsed 2 targets since week 5. We have Tommy Tremble, the tight end, who has gotten 4 targets in back-to-back weeks, but has a total of 28 receiving yards in those 2 games. Who else we have here? Kadero Hodge, yes, has 2 targets in the past 4 games. Michael Pruitt, tight end 3. Giovanni Ricci, tight end, fullback. Nobody down here. I mean, this is unlike most of the recent Showdown slates where we've had $200 values. We've had $1,000 values, $3,000 values. It's not the case. So as a result, the field is going to gravitate towards kickers as they normally do. Instead, we can pivot and play defenses heavily, if not in all of your lineups tonight, because of the expected weather. The same goes over on FanDuel. And that has been, sorry, I don't have FanDuel up right now, but I'll just talk about it here really quickly. FanDuel, the kickers, the same prices. We see elevated ownership on kickers all the time. And that's not going to change tonight. Instead, let's play the defenses, right? I know Atlanta does not pass the ball a ton. So Atlanta is the preferred defense going against Carolina. But, however, in these weather games, lower scoring, more turnovers, interceptions, and fumbles, sacks, defensive touchdowns, all increase in this type of weather. So playing those defenses, pairing them up with your running back of choice is really the way to go tonight in all contest types. And because of the lack of value, because of the uncertainty at quarterback, the uncertainty at running back, you really can't play low-risk contests tonight. You can, but it's a huge roll of the dice. I would much rather play high-risk contests, leave salary, focus on the weather angles, play cheaper running backs, things of that nature. The one thing we haven't talked about before we get out of here is the price of Kyle Pitts. 7K on DraftKings, just 8,500 on FanDuel. He'll be extremely popular over there, and for good reason, right? Look at last week. He had 200 some air yards last week. He's actually on our underperforming wide receiver list despite being a tight end. So Pitts is going to be popular. But again, if it's a weather game, it's easy for him to fail. Hell, we've seen him fail in perfect environments right? 9 receiving yards back in week 7, just 27 receiving yards last week, 19 receiving yards. Hell, believe me, if you've drafted Kyle Pitts in your season-long leagues, you know damn well that he's not a lock for any production whatsoever. So it's another way to differentiate if you want to play an Atlanta receiver or no Atlanta receivers and pivot off the Kyle Pitts chalk. So that'll do it for this video. It's a really tough but also interesting slate, especially for high-risk contests, your leagues, your GPPs, your satellites. For more in-depth info, make sure you check out the Daily Plug. That'll be posted later today, 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Eastern on OccupyFantasy.com. That link is in the description. Our writer Bismo is going to look at all the angles, give you rankings for small field, large field, low risk, high risk contests for both FanDuel and DraftKings, his overall slate thoughts, specific lineup construction tips for different contest types, basically a roadmap to dominating the slate, so make sure you go check that out. Our Occupy model is up and running, our proprietary rankings for FanDuel, DraftKings, Yahoo with projected ownership. And our lineup builder is up and running. Best way to see how combos fit together, even if you're not building 150, 300 lineups, even if you're just building like one or a couple lineups, using the lineup builder to see how different player pairings fit together, what salary you can use, how ownership fits together. It's an essential tool in my eyes. So that'll do it for the video. Again, make sure you are subscribed if you like the video. That way you'll be shown these types of videos in the future from us. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know to continue to do these videos. Any questions, comment on the video below. Join our Discord server, OccupyFantasy.com/Discord. Brian Jester, Occupy Fantasy. Thank you for listening, and good luck in tonight's Falcons and Panthers showdown slate.